I want to apologise for the mess in the background. My bedroom's a mess, as per usual. And it's really bright, so if I'm like squinting, that's why. And my hair's a mess. Anyway, let's get on with the video. So today I wanted to do a labour and delivery story about my eldest son, Mikey, who is now 17 months old. It's crazy. I wanted to do this ages ago and I just kept putting it off and off and off, and now I'm getting to the point where I can't really remember what happened. So this video is going to be all over the place. It's not going to be completely accurate with like times and stuff. It's going to be quite a basic story of what happened during labour and delivery. So for anyone who's new and never watched me during my pregnancy with Mikey, I kept saying I wanted a home birth, and I did really want a home birth. And then when I was about 28, 30 weeks pregnant, they found out I had gestational diabetes. So didn't necessarily mean I couldn't have a home birth, but it was riskier for me to have a home birth. So the hospital supplied me with a birthing pool and stuff like that to have it at home. So if I did go into labour naturally before 40 weeks, then I could have my home birth. I could have had my home birth regardless if I refused to go into the hospital and get induced, but I didn't want to do that because obviously they're professionals and I'm listening to what their advice was, and they recommended that I had a labour ward delivery, so hospital delivery. Because we also have things called birth centres, so I think all countries are different, but I think in America it might be very similar. So like we have like a labour ward where you're like monitored pretty much 24/7, and then you have like a birth centre where they have like a pool and it's more relaxed and you're not like monitored constantly, because you'll be low risk. So it's like high risk and low risk. Or you can have a home birth, which is obviously for low risk pregnancies, but some high risk people do have home births because that's what they want. But I didn't want to risk that. I didn't want to risk me and my baby, if you know what I mean. So I was booked in to be induced at 39 weeks and 6 days, just because it was the Monday. So they just booked me in for the Monday. So, and when it came to being 39 weeks and 5 days, so the day before induction, I noticed that Mikey wasn't moving as much, and had done that before a couple of times. I'd been up to triage and then he'd be fine. He wasn't a very movie baby, I guess. And being my first pregnancy, I didn't know it was normal. So it was just like, I was worried obviously. So it didn't move much that night. You can do like this, it's like, you can get apps for it, but if they move 10 times in an hour, then it's okay. You should still get checked out if you're concerned about movement, regardless of how many times your baby's moved. If you're concerned, then I would just say go to the hospital, because it could mean that the baby's not well, and then it could also end in stillbirth, which no one obviously would want. Anyway, so the night before induction, he wasn't moving very much. I did the count, and he moved at least 10 times within the hour before I went to sleep. So I wasn't too worried. I went to sleep. I knew I was going in the next day anyway. The only thing with induction, they was going to ring me on what time the bed would be available for me to be induced. So I didn't know what time of day it would be. I just knew the day that they were going to ring. That they were going to ring me. So that morning, I decided to go up to triage just to get monitored, because I was like, well, he wasn't moving much last night. I want to make sure he's okay, and he never really moved much in the morning anyway. So I was a little bit worried. So I went up to triage. I put him on monitors, and he was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with him. His heart rate was good. Yeah, he was actually doing okay. So they was like, well, and they wanted me for about an hour there, I believe, and I think we got up there about 8:30. So no, sorry. So on the way to going up to the hospital, they rang me and said, oh, a bed's available for you to be induced. And I was like, well, I'm on my way up here anyway because of my reduced movement, so I'm going up to triage. And they were like, well, yeah, go to triage, and then we'll sort it out from there, sort of thing. So obviously wanted to make sure the baby was okay. So that's what happened. I went to triage. They monitored me for about an hour. Everything was fine. So then they said, well, we might as well take you around to labour and delivery because you're going to be induced anyway today. So that's what they did. They took me around. I can't remember the exact time of day this was. It must have been around about 10, 11 that they induced me. So what they did for me was they inserted a pessary into my cervix. So it sort of goes in and it just sits inside of the cervix. And it's meant to soften the cervix and help it dilate. And if that doesn't work within 6 hours, I think they would do it again. Yeah, I think they do it again. So because they had done that, they took me around to another ward. So I was no longer on labour ward. I was on a different ward. I can't remember what it was. But it's basically where they wait for you to go into labour because you've been induced. So 6 hours went past. Well, actually 5 hours went past, and then contractions started. And they were quite mild. And I was like, if they're like this is easy. Like, obviously not knowing what labour was about at all. Yes, contractions started. They were like, at first it was like period cramps. And then they were like just little tightenings, and then we was timing them, and they were coming like fast because like they weren't painful at first, but they were coming quite like as fast as like they say to go into the hospital. So they say if you have I think it's 3 contractions over a minute within a 10-minute period, then that's when you should go to the hospital. I think that's what they say, or 4, something like that. But mine were doing that. Mine were doing what they would do if I was at home labouring naturally, like to go into the hospital. But it wasn't painful at all at this point. But then the 6 hours went past and no one came to see me. Like, still no one came around to check on me to see if I had actually gone into labour. Because if I hadn't started contractions or anything, I think they would have done another pessary. I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, like a couple more hours went past and then I started to get uncomfortable. I don't think it was necessarily like labour yet. It was still like the first stage of labour, which isn't really active labour. So then must have been after 8 PM because the nurses had done a switch, like a shift change, and one of the nurses, who wasn't my carer, she came over. My mum asked about it, so she came up to me when she was free and said, oh well, your nurse is on break at the moment, so when she comes back we'll check your dilation, and then we can offer you pain medication. And at this point, I think I was getting quite uncomfortable. It still wasn't nearly as bad as what labour's like, but it was like getting to the point where it's like, this is getting kind of painful, you know. And then when they finally came around to check me, it must have been around about 10 o'clock in the evening or whatever. I've been there for so long at this point. They just left me there basically to go into labour naturally. I can understand that. I mean, this woman came in. Before I got checked, this woman came in and she was screaming and she sounded like she was in agony, right? And then she was next to me and I could hear because there was like a curtain. And they were like, honey, you're only one... Well, they didn't say honey, but they were like... I don't know what they said, but they were like, you're only 1 centimetre dilated. And I was like, oh my God, if she's only 1 centimetre dilated, how painful is this going to get? Because I don't even know how... I was 1 centimetre actually, because I checked the week before and I was already 1 centimetre dilated before I even went in to be induced. So I was like, if she's like this in 1 centimetre, oh my God, what is this going to be like? Like, seriously, do you know what I mean? So, anyway, it come around for them to check me. And I believe I must have been in quite a lot of pain at this point. And I felt like I was progressing quickly because of how quick my contractions were coming. I don't think I was in agony. I don't remember being in agony as such at this point. But then again, I'm not sure. I've not had any pain medication, remember. I've just been sitting there... contracting really frequently to the point where I'm like, this is like all the time. So anyway, they checked me and I could have cried. I was only 2 centimetres dilated. And I was like, really? All that time I've been sitting here, and I thought I was going to be at least 4, which is active labour, which they consider active labour. I don't know about any other country, but in the UK, if you're 4 centimetres, you're in active labour and you go around to the delivery ward. So I cried. And not just that, I found the check really painful. I think some women do, but yeah, no, I found it really painful. So I just sat there and I sobbed. I was so upset. I was like, this is not what I expected. I didn't expect labour to take as long as it was taking. Because by the time they took me around, after they checked me, they're like, right, we're going to get you onto labour ward and give you some gas and air. Because hadn't been offered any pain medication at all. Oh no, they gave me gas and air just before I went to labour ward. That's right, because she was giving me gas and air, and it made me really loopy. Like, she was raising the bed for some reason. I don't know if it was to do with the check or whatever. But she was raising the bed and I was going, oh, I'm going to the moon. Like, I just literally went insane. I went crazy. I've never had gas in there before. So yeah, it made me really loopy at first. I was really giggling. And it obviously cheered me up because, like, it really did work. So, and it didn't make me feel sick, but some women it makes you feel sick. I just love the stuff. Yeah, eventually I went round to labour ward because they were like, we're gonna break your waters. So I was like, okay. So it must have been around about midnight-ish that I was on labour ward and they were gonna break my waters. So it's almost the next day, right? And I think I was up there from 8 o'clock in the morning, so it had been a really long day. Anyway, when she broke my waters, I've never felt so much pain in all my life. See, my mum had her waters broken. I can't remember if it was me or my sister, but she said one of us really hurt and it was really painful. But she thinks that they caught her somewhere, not just the waters, if you know what I mean, and that's why it's so painful. Because I think she might have bled a little. I'm not 100% sure on that. But with me, I think they literally just done my waters and I was screaming. I mean, I was absolutely screaming. I was in so much pain because I don't know why, it just really hurt. Whatever she was doing, oh, the pain. I don't remember the pain now as such, but I remember screaming because I remember thinking, like, I just remember it was agony, absolute agony for me. And then all my waters just gushed and it was just warm. And you don't expect, I don't know why you don't expect it to be warm. I didn't expect it to be as warm as it was, but obviously it's from your body, so it's warm. And then they were like, and I was like, I need an epidural. I was like, if you're going to be checking me like every 4 hours, I think it was every 4 hours or something, then I need an epidural because it's just too painful when you check me. When you broke my waters was really painful. I'm not going to be able to do this. And then my pain started to get, not my pains, but my contractions did start to get quite painful. But the gas nail was really helping with that. So I don't know what time it was when the anaesthetist came round to give me the epidural. But he gave me the epidural, didn't really feel anything, it was fine for me. I didn't feel any, like, sometimes I think you feel like the coldness going in your back. I didn't really feel anything like that. So, so they say it takes 20 minutes to start working. So, alright, so I was lying there and they gave me a button and I could press it every 20 minutes to top it up. Because the one that they did was, it was like the machine they had, you could do it yourself, and I know that some other ones they have to do it for you. So, but the machine I had, you could just press the button and the medicine would release, and it'd only do it every 20 minutes. So you couldn't do it like loads and like release loads of medicine, if you know what I mean. So I'm laying there. 20 minutes later, the whole side of my right is nice and numb, and I could still feel pain on my left. I believe it was that way round. It might have been the other way around, but like the half of my body was numb and great, and the other half was not numb, and my contractions were bad at this point. So I was taking the gas and air in every time I had a contraction, and they were like, and I didn't want to tell them that the epidural wasn't working properly, because I didn't want them to redo it, because they give you like this list and you read it and they're like, oh, if it goes wrong they have to redo it. And I didn't know one of the risks was like meningitis, and that's like one of my biggest fears of getting meningitis. I don't know why, it just has been since I was a kid. Just that word, meningitis, it really freaks me out. So I was reading like all the risks and like death and stuff like that. So I was like, it's gone fine the first time. If they do it again, what about if they like screw it up the next time? So I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. So I was like, yeah, no, it's only working on, I told them in the end, I was like, yeah, it's only working on half of them, but it's fine because the gas in there is helping the other half. And they're like, oh no, we can top it up. And I was like, oh, thank God for that. Rather than redo the actual procedure, they decided to just put more medicine in. I think it was like a stronger dose or something. I'm not really sure what they did, but they did something with the IV bag. I suppose, is it an IV bag? I don't know, but the bag with the medicine in. And it really helped. It made me all numb. But the only problem is, if it started to work, like, and then I was asleep, and so since getting the epidural and then going into pushing, I was like on and off asleep because I was so tired and exhausted from the day before, because it was just like hot, just waiting around makes you really tired. I think Mike might have even gone home and had a shower at some point, but I was trying to sleep, and like, because I knew like by the time I had to push, then I was gonna have the energy, so I was like trying to sleep. And you can't eat once you have an epidural, in case you need to go around for emergency cesarean, because that's a risk as well. So you can only have water. So I was just so tired, so I kept trying to sleep. But then every time the epidural would wear off and I'd have to press the button, I'd get this horrible pain. So I'd press the button, and then if I didn't press the button quick enough, like, I'd have to use the gas and air for a little bit, and then it'd be fine. So I had just disrupted sleep, and I don't really remember much what else happened between that time, apart from around probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They came around, they checked me, and she was like, oh, you're 7 centimetres. And I was like, oh, bloody hell. Like, to me, it felt like it'd gone really quick, but I don't think it had gone as quick as I thought. Just because I was, like, on and off asleep, because the epidural really did, like, sort of help with the pain. And then it must have been around 6 o'clock. No, 7. No, it must have been about half 6-ish. They came around and checked me again. And it turned out I was 10 centimetres dilated. So she was like, we're going to start pushing in half hour. I was like, what? We're going to what? Like, although I knew that would happen, I didn't prepare myself to get to the point of you have to push this baby out. So I was like, huh? So I was like, oh my God, we're not going to be pushing a baby out in 30 minutes. Like, what? Like, I don't know, I was a bit freaked out, I think. So I was like, okay. So then, I think it must have been around about 7 o'clock, because I was pushing for about 40 minutes-ish, and he was born at 7:54. So it must have been just after 7. It must have been just literally after 7 when I started pushing, something like that. So I was pushing, he wasn't coming out. And I just had this vision in my head that I would push a couple of times and the baby would come out. Oh my God, it took forever. Like, it felt like ages. Like, I was pushing, I was like, no, push more. Because obviously I had an epidural, I couldn't feel anything. I didn't know what I was pushing. I didn't know when I had contractions, so they had to tell me when to push. So I was pushing, and they're like, push more into your bottom, push more into your bottom. And I was like, I'm trying. And I was going, I can't do this. And I was pushing so hard that I started coughing. And they were like, yeah, do that, just cough. I was like, huh? And so they just wanted me to literally sit there and cough this baby out. So, I started like violently coughing because my throat was really dry anyway. So I was coughing. And eventually he did just come out. And now they were worried about shoulder, you know when the shoulder gets stuck? I can't remember what it's called. Because I had gestational diabetes. That's why they wanted me to have a labour delivery in case he got stuck. I think that was the main reason. No, his head came out, and the rest of him came out. It just shot out of me, right? And like, he's here. And I was like, what? And then they must have wiped him slightly, and then they put him straight onto my chest. And it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. It was crazy. It was like, oh my God, like, I couldn't believe I had managed to do it, if you know what I mean. So they placed him on my chest. He was there. He was here. He had this cry, and it was so sweet and tiny and cute. And I was like, it's okay. And yeah, I had my baby. So I pushed for about 40 minutes. It felt like forever, honestly. Like, I've watched other labour and delivery stories, and some people say they was pushing for 2 hours. I did not think I could have coped, because I was going, I can't do this. Mum was going, yes, you can. Mum was going, push, Kate. And she was louder than I was in the actual whole room telling me to push. Because sometimes women scream, but obviously I had pain medication. I couldn't feel anything. But she was going, push, Kate. And Mike was just like standing there. I don't think he knew what to do. But yeah, it was like, I just couldn't believe I got him out, because I was like, he's stuck, he's just not going to come out. That's how I felt. I was getting so frustrated, and like, I'm so impatient as it is. So once he came out, I did tear, so I had a 2nd degree tear. So well, first off, they had to wait for my, what's it called, placenta to be delivered. So they gave me the K injection. Is it a vitamin? I don't know, but they give you an injection. You can choose, you don't have to have it done, but it takes half the time for the placenta to come out than normal. And I was like, yeah, might as well just do that. So they did that, and then, oh, this is actually quite, I have to tell you an embarrassing part. So I had the baby on my chest, and they were trying to deliver my placenta, and she was like, push a little. And because I had the epidural, I had a catheter in. And they had removed that for me to push, like to give birth. So I no longer had the catheter in, and I couldn't feel anything. So they were like, right, push the placenta, right? So push, because the placenta's in your like vagina, just push it. So I've pushed a little, and they went, oh. I went, oh, did it come out? And they went, no, you just peed a little. And oh my God, I was like, oh my God, I just peed on all my midwives, like all the nurses or doctors or whoever they were. And I was like, oh my God, it was quite embarrassing. So yeah, I was like, well, I've just peed on everyone. And then the placenta just came out, so it was fine. I didn't look at it. Mike said it was gross. I've seen them before on telly. I was like, I don't want to look. But yeah, so I peed on everyone during, like, after labour, and then they were stitching me up. But I said to the lady, oh, how bad is the tear? She said, oh, it's nothing too big, it's just a 2nd-degree tear. And at the time, I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, how many stitches does that take? Like, what is that? I didn't know whereabouts it was, or anything like that. She just said, oh, it's just a 2nd-degree tear. I was like, well, great. Like, what does that mean? Still to this day, I don't know how many stitches I had. I just know I had a tear. So, but yeah, Mikey was born weighing 7 pounds and 8 ounces. No, 8 pounds and 7 ounces at 7:54 p.m. on the Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday evening. So because he was born in the evening, we had to stay overnight, and we got to go home the next day. But that night was kind of scary because obviously you're a new time parent. There was only me and Mike there, and in the middle of the night, Mikey started like throwing up or coughing or something, and all this like mucus stuff was coming out, and I started to panic. Mike was fast asleep because he had like hardly any sleep in the last 2 days, so I didn't want to wake him up. So I pressed the button for the nurse. She came in, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And she was like, oh, it's just mucus on his lungs from where he's been born. I was like, well, why didn't they tell me this before? Like, I didn't know that he's gonna have mucus on his lungs. But anyway, she wasn't concerned, so it was all fine. He was good. But yeah, my healthy little baby boy. And because I had gestational diabetes, he had to be monitored for 24 hours. So do like blood tests to make sure he doesn't have diabetes, and he doesn't, so that's really good. So yeah, we got to go home early afternoon the next day, other than waiting longer because his blood tests were coming back fine. But yeah, that was my labour and delivery story. That's mainly what I remember. I went in on the Monday at 8:30 in the morning, and I had him the next day at 7:54 p.m. So labour was long. It was really long. They say it's long on your first baby. I didn't expect it to be that long, to be honest, and I did not expect it to be that painful. I am so glad I did not have a home birth. I'm a wimp, and I don't think I would have been able to cope with the pain. Honestly, not even in a pool. Like, I couldn't move. I was like in so much agony at some points. So if you want to see a video about my birth plan for my next baby, if I don't put in my vlogs, then let me know. I'm currently 32 weeks pregnant with baby number 2, my second boy. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm sorry I've talked fast. I think I spoke really fast. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Please subscribe if you want to see more vlogs and hauls. That's what I mainly do. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.